All right. All right. So, for the sightsee portion of this, this portion of this portion of today's blog is about understanding people in my life and some things that are not necessarily. Not everything we talk about in this blog is something I have problems with myself, but that will be part of this discussion. And some of the things we're talking about in this blog are things I do have problems with myself, and they're not things I actually get to discuss a lot. So when Vonna went, I want to do a video kind of explaining all of this, I went, that's a marvelous idea. Let's have a realistic conversation about it. So that's what this is. Please enjoy. And remember that if you have any questions, you can go to my blog. You can go to the blog you're reading this on. Comment. Private message me. Snail mail if you need to. Pigeon if you have to, I guess.
We are not going to carry your pigeon. You have to stop offering that. It's just not going to happen.
I will find a way.
There are people in your life who don't even know what you're talking about, okay?
Dad asked me if I could read smoke signals. But yes, get in touch with us. We will talk. We will answer questions. That's the important part. Now I return you to your regular scheduled blog. Okay.
That was awesome.
You're welcome. All right, so define HSP.
Okay. I had to take notes because words don't come naturally to me very well.
Weird how you're a writer if you say that. Go ahead.
Well, I can vomit stuff out. But like, especially with the hard stuff like this,
Yeah.
I get tongue-tied is probably a better way. So, let me see. An HSP is someone who experiences acute physical, mental, or emotional responses to stimuli. The gal who kind of figured it out, the pioneer in the field, Dr. Elaine Aaron, she estimates that about 20% of the population is HSP, or a highly sensitive person.
Okay.
So,
Is that has she figured out? Is it genetic? Is it environmental?
She believes it's a genetic trait. It kind of goes back to, when I say the old days, I mean the caves where we were picking berries and killing animals for food. You had your 1 person in 5 who was more sensitive to all the sounds and smells, who could hear the predators coming towards the caves, this kind of thing. And it's just something that hasn't actually been bred out of the population. It's still here, but it's not something recognized or appreciated, and so...
Unless you're a cop or a soldier, or, yeah.
Right.
It's radar.
Yeah.
From MASH. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, see, so easily I get derailed during this. But,
Okay.
yeah.
What does it specifically look like for you?
So it's really funny. Again, trying to find some key words to try to be able to say, and I found this one article, it's like 23 things that describe being an HSP, and I'm like, okay, I'll go in there and I will, some of those will be me. Didn't expect all 23 to be me. I'm not even sure we want to talk about all 23. That'll be a long video. But what I notice is that a lot of these can kind of be mistaken or go along with PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
I have PTSD, but
right, we'll get there.
Startle easily, need plenty of alone time. When you read or hear about violent things, you have a strong negative reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid those things. Sensitive to sounds, smells, tastes. Yeah. Going the wrong way in my notebook. There we go. Nope.
Nope. You're lost altogether.
Yep. You notice other things people miss. This is the big one. They write, you feel more porous than other people. But what does that mean? It's like I'm a sponge. So I go out in public and I'm in a restaurant and there's a lot of loud noises and smells and
You hear every conversation whether you want to or not.
yeah, but I also pick up on the moods, especially of the people I'm with. And so I take all that in, and at some point, a sponge, it takes it all in, and then it can only take so much, and then it starts to spill back out, and it doesn't hold anymore. And so I have to be really careful about my social engagements. How many people I do that with, that kind of thing. Times of transition. Change is not easy for me. I need things very structured. I'm not necessarily a fan of that either. I'd love to be a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person.
Yep.
But it's not who I am. So I didn't realize until recently how much effort I put into controlling my life in a way that keeps me from getting overstimulated. But that is a necessity, as much as I hate to say it. Let me see. For me, the other thing about this is foods and medicines. I struggle with what I eat, and because they're not necessarily allergies, but my body doesn't take to them well. It's almost like an allergic reaction, but doesn't quite qualify according to the doctors. And medicines, they work too well in my system, or if there is a side effect that's gonna be a bad side effect, chances are I'm gonna get it. I tend to go without getting, what are they called?
Injection?
Yes, the vaccines.
Vaccines.
Yeah. Because I have reactions to them. So, not that I don't believe in them, I just think that for me, it's just not worth it. So, that's a little bit about what being HSP is like.
What is fibromyalgia?
Fibromyalgia. So, a disease characterized by chronic pain, stiffness, and tenderness of muscles, tendons, and joints. So, I got a new doctor recently, and we talked about fibromyalgia, and she asked me about because they do the diagnostic criteria according to these certain spots in your body, and I said, well, when I got diagnosed, I think he said all 18 spots. She goes, no, there's only 5 or 6. I'm like, what? So in doing research for this, I found out I was diagnosed in 2005. In 2016, there was a restructuring of the diagnostic process.
That's when I got diagnosed.
Right, and so it looks differently now.
Yes, it does.
So, which is, and looking at all of that, I was able to go, oh, yeah, so this that I've always thought maybe was my fibro, that was actually HSP. But we didn't know what else to chalk up.
What it's called. Yeah. What do you do with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what does fibromyalgia look like for you? Because fibro is that thing, it's different for everyone.
Right. Pain. It says here like rheumatoid arthritis without the damage. So that's even worse. The idea that you wrong side, I guess. This whole camera backwards thing. You're doing things and it's painful, and usually pain says, "Oh, you have damage here. You should be careful."
Mm-hmm.
I don't have damage there.
Yeah.
So I should work through that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a whole, yeah. Sleep problems, headaches, IBS, clumsiness, the being too cold. Sometimes I feel like it's cold in the room and it's not. I have numbness and tingling, especially at night in my feet. So, yeah. And again, also with this, the sensitive to food and meds is also a thing about fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
Oh, and fibrofog. Trouble thinking and being coherently sentencing, and yeah. Another reason I think why we talk about the dictionary of Vana is that keeping thought processes going. It's why I have notes for this stuff.
Forgive me.
No, if you drank coffee,
Right.
hell, if I drank coffee, I'd offer you coffee, but there's no coffee in here.
Gosh. I just
Mhm.
hit the.
Yeah.
I had my mid morning snack, and therefore
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, nap time.
Yep.
I don't get to actually nap, but
Mhm.
nap time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is PTSD?
This is. There it is. Look at that. I found it. I had to look up, I think, out of the DSM-5 or 4, whatever it is. A mental health condition that's triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing or witnessing it. So, symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, as well as uncontrollable thoughts about the event.
Mm-hmm.
Up to 80% of people who have long-standing PTSD develop additional problems like depression, anxiety, alcohol, or drug misuse.
So for you, what does PTSD look like?
Pretty much a lack. I wrote lack of childhood memory. So, and even into my younger adulthood, I didn't truly start making actual long-term hang on to those memories until a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I do get flashbacks. Those can be good and bad. Usually bad. It really just depends on the situation. So, asking me what my PTSD triggers are is, yeah, not really something I can always answer. The one that we do know for sure is the, like if you walk up near me and get in my bubble, I will automatically go to defend.
Yeah.
It's so, I don't even realize I'm doing it. Like the person isn't there consciously for me until I'm already like this.
Right.
This talks about an incident. I had so many incidents and people, and that I don't remember them all.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while I thought, well, I need to remember them in order to move past them. And I don't. And I talked with my counselor about this. And she's like, if you had one incident that we could look at and go, this is the trauma and let's maybe exposure therapy or whatever we need to do, then we could do that. But I have so many different kinds of abuse from different people and things in my life that trying to work on one will trigger another, and then it just won't.
Right.
It won't be productive.
Right.
So it's just a matter of dealing with it as it is.
Managing the symptoms and learning to live with them.
Yeah. So physical reactions. I don't trust easily.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing personal about anybody in my life, but I've learned that I have to protect myself, and the easiest, I guess, way to do that is you have to be willing to give me time to get to know you and to make that work.
Yeah.
I don't socialize well. Some of that might be the the HSP, but some of that is the PTSD.
Well, I guarantee some of that's the fibro too.
And some of that's the fibro too, because touching me, that's another thing that I don't know always, is this fibro or HSP, but there are times when people have touched me, and in fact a lot of people do this, and like you can see the handprints. It's burning. I'm a little bit stressed out by doing this now. It's one of the reasons that I'm wearing this. This is burning my skin on my arms as we're doing this. But if I wasn't wearing it, the air in the room would be even more painful on my skin. So, yeah, that's just a thing.
So that directly leads to question 4. How often do these overlap?
I'm gonna go back for one more thing.
Sure.
Tofu. My counselor Jenna, I love that she came up with this, because I think this is important in relation to all of it, but especially my PTSD, is that at some point, as foolish as it sounds, I had to be told that it was okay to try to figure out who I was. I spent a lot of my life, and it wasn't even conscious, it was just the way it was, where I would go into a situation, a chameleon. Like, this is what people need me to be, or this is who I am because this is who people expect, and blah. And so and as a child, I wasn't allowed the idea of this is who you are. Your thoughts, feelings, and any of that was not allowed. And so, so now she talks about me being tofu in the idea that if you know tofu, it doesn't really have its own flavor. And so now you have to put flavors into it in order to make it kind of palatable and tasty, and so I have to figure out how to flavor myself, basically. And that's been a hard struggle, with the idea of it's okay to be me, and it's okay to make boundaries, and
It's okay to make a boundary and then realize that's not what boundary you wanted it to be.
right.
Yeah, that's a very hard thing.
Figuring out what's selfish and what's okay. So, yeah. How often do these overlap? Daily. I can't always tell you which symptom is which. I'm getting...
That's the next part. Are you able to tell? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting better. I just learned about HSP, like, I don't even think it's been 6 months.
I don't think it has been.
But having learned about it, it's been easier for me to go, okay, this is HSP, this is PTSD, And the important thing there is, and the reason to make the distinction, because it's not always needed, but is the idea of, is this ever going to change, or is this just who I am?
Right. Well, especially if we're expecting that HSP is genetic.
Mm-hmm.
Those are traits you can't get over. You can't
Right.
counsel yourself past.
Right.
Those are just things that are.
Right. And so that comes into self-acceptance and the idea of, okay, I have to accept that this is who I am, but also, this is great. This is who I am. So this is one thing that I can accept about myself, figure out how to fit it into everything, dealing with people in life,
And
but
not go, what happened to me that changed, that caused this? Why
right,
can't I just get over this?
Right.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, it's one of the very few things that make me jealous. So much of my life I go, why do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I just why can't I just not do it? It's a struggle.
Yeah.
Alright, what happens when all three of these conditions happen at once?
Bell's palsy, loss of consciousness, I need to retreat. I guess this next part that I wrote, I'm actually just gonna read, because it's part of the reason for making this video. I need to retreat. What happens when they all happen at once? I need to retreat. I'm sorry if that's unfair. It's become more important to me not to push things since my aortic aneurysm diagnosis. And losing 3 people younger than me because they didn't take care of their health. So that sucks that I can't always people with the people I want to. And I read something and one of the questions was, how do you think you'll die? And I said, I don't know, probably a heart attack. But hopefully, even if it is, it's while I'm doing something that I want to do, and then I'm still living. So just because I'm retreating and making choices about the things I do and don't do, doesn't mean I'm not still trying to be out there and do things.
There's a reason that Tribble is your totem.
Yep.
Hard outer shell, a nice comfy place to hide.
Yeah.
Alright, what is your most common trigger?
Depends on which issue we're talking about. For my PTSD, I think it's stress and when people end up in my bubble suddenly. The answer to all of these is stress, but also for HSP, too many people for too long. And for fibro, not eating right. A lot of the ways that I control my fibromyalgia, because I can't take medications, is the way that I eat. And I know that's stressful. A lot of times when we go out to eat, and sometimes I go, I'm going to push this today, and sometimes I go, no, not today.
Right,
So
you end up in situations where
Yeah.
you're stressed out and you're forced to have people in your bubble because you're in a restaurant and you're not eating correctly anyway.
Right.
And then Donna goes, no one's allowed to touch me ever.
Sounds familiar.
It does. Often.
Yes. Yeah.
And Kate ends up walking around behind you going, don't touch my woman. And people going, I thought she was straight. She is, shut up. What's your point?
Yeah.
So, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Alright. What is the most frustrating part for you?
accepting that what I see in the mirror isn't a reality of my conditions or abilities. So to me, I can look in the mirror and I seem relatively healthy. I don't have this purple dot on my body somewhere that everyone can look at and go, oh, okay,
With
cool, I
those
get
people.
it.
Yeah.
You're one of those, I get it.
You don't walk
Okay.
with a cane. You don't need the
Yeah.
scooter chairs. You don't have the visible limp every time you stand up.
Mm-hmm. Seeing others not try. I work so hard to try to be functional instead of, because realistically, I give me a second.
Mm.
I could sit here on this couch in my own little bubble watching Asian dramas all day.
You could have your food delivered. Have your groceries delivered.
Mm-hmm.
You'd never need to leave this apartment.
Yeah. But that's not healthy. And that's how I end up like those three. And that's how I lose people in my life. And that's how I die sooner.
Yeah.
And I don't want to die sooner. My birthday's coming up in April. And it's been really hard for me. My mother died when she was 49. I'm going to be 49 this year. And like graduating high school was a huge milestone for me. Turning 50 is going to be a huge milestone for me. Not because it's this landmark thing that everybody says. It's because I made it longer than she did. I mean, I've lived a better life. I haven't done drugs. I'm not an alcoholic. And yet, in some ways, I'm still not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And that just is. I was born with certain issues, and life threw me a few curveballs, and so here we are. So getting to 50 is just going to be the thing.
But hey, we're going to throw a rave, and it'll be awesome.
Yes, we are.
It's going to start at like 6 p.m. so we can be done and in bed by 11, but whatever.
Oh no, I really wanted to Valen this up and do a weekend and
I'm so tired already. And that's like a year and a half away.
Well, start getting ready.
Right?
Get to the gym more.
Oh
Have
yeah,
more
that
energy.
is a thing. To the gym.
Yeah.
How can we, as your friends and family, best support you in your worst times? It was a two-part question, if it's any help.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking. Putting my answers on this thing the way that I did was just really a bad idea. Because I forget how much struggle I have when I get like this. I think it's probably just easier if I read it again.
Sure.
I'm trying. I'm learning that I need to live life differently than others. I can no longer try to be average. It's funny, I wrote, I have to, and then I crossed it out, and I said, I need to socialize in smaller groups. Then I wrote, I take it all in, the good, the bad, and the smelly.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to do that thing about ending on the light note. So, and please ask if something I'm doing is confusing, or if I seem angry or tired or anything else. please ask. Went to the store last Friday, and I have regular stores, so these people see me every week. I didn't recognize this cashier at the store, but apparently he's seen me. And so we're checking out, and we kind of bantered, and then he goes, you know, whenever you come in here, you always seem tired. And I kind of played along, I guess, and I just said, yeah, I've got a medical condition. I was thinking about my heart that just kind of, a bum ticker, that's what I said. Bum ticker makes me tired more than not. And yeah, that's some of it. But some of it is just going out to the store. Even with the people I love. Even if, like, we're going to Daryl's and I'm completely welcomed and I can get a hug and a smile. It takes a lot of energy. So know that if I'm there with you and trying, so if it seems like a problem, ask me. I'm willing to talk about it.
I'm gonna give you a minute.
Huh?
I'm gonna give you a minute.
Okay. Yeah. So I can, like, see again to read my thing? Yeah, that might be a thing. I was going to try not to rely so heavily on reading it, but I think in some cases it was probably just the better
It's
idea.
easier. How do we, as your friends and family, support you in your best times?
I read this and it seems so selfish to me. It is what it is. In the best times, if I reach out to you in a text, or I send an event invite, know how small my world is. How special you are. That I chose you. Oh, great. I'm gonna have to watch this thing. I was gonna try to be all, let's be, kosher because we're on camera. Fuck. Sorry.
That's okay, this isn't made for children anyway.
Yeah. Go YouTube. All right.
What is the hardest part of all of this to convey to anyone, even those who know you best?
I want to be touched. I saw a friend recently, and she offered me her hand, and I really wanted that. So I let her hold my hand for, it wasn't even 5 minutes. And I've got a picture, the knuckle on my hand, she held my hand like this. And the knuckle on my hand, when we were done later, Wayne called it a blood blister. Because the blood was just pooling up and it was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be touched, but if I tell you I can't, it's not personal. I'm not necessarily angry at you. I'm just so overstimulated and my stuff is acting up so much that it really will hurt me if you touch me.
Mm-hmm. I remember we went to Daryl's one day and Paul put his arm around you.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, literally just had a hand on your upper arm,
Mm-hmm.
like this, on her bare arm. She was wearing a tank top. Mm-hmm. And when he walked away, you could still see the handprint, the full handprint in this, welt on her arm.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people that story all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what did he have on his hands? I'm like, no. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a fibro thing. I'm pretty sure, because I don't necessarily have all three of them. Okay, that's not true. Something I'm coming to grips with. But I am starting to get I have wonderful lines when I get home from work from where my t-shirts touch me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The starting of it, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure the question is, well, then why do you wear tank tops if it hurts so much? Because the cloth on your skin is
burns.
painful and it burns.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. The other day I raised my hand in class,
Mm-hmm.
and then I pulled my hand down. I had a welt right here along my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was touching me.
Yeah.
Skin on skin. My own skin burned me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was fun.
That is the thing. It's why I've learned to sleep in clothes. So that's the other thing. I wear loose clothing most of the time because I don't want it touching me. But I've also learned I need to sleep in clothes, as much as that sucks and it's loose clothing. But if I'm because I lay on my side a lot, skin on skin contact, I won't sleep well and it'll burn.
I actually have to wear tighter, like workout pants when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Because if the clothing is too loose and it bunches underneath me, I will end up with welts
Right.
and bruises.
Yeah.
So it has to be like jogging shorts, basically.
Yeah.
Because I also can't have skin on skin contact.
Yeah, it's a toss.
It's terrible.
Oh, excuse me. I want to go places and do things. I'm not weak because I can't. I'm strong because I don't. I see all these things I want to go do. And I have to tell myself no. And I have to tell all of you no. And sometimes I get dumb and don't say no. And I'm trying to learn to be better about that. But, yeah.
On a lighter note, this is why we didn't go to Coachella. I mean, that and money, but whatever. I'd have found a way to beg and steal and borrow the money.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Is there an upside to any of these conditions?
I can figure out a recipe by taste.
I can figure out a musical composition by the sound. Yeah.
No, because I'll eat something and I'll ask the person, hey, did you put cinnamon in this? Or, something like that.
Yeah, there's like a half a tablespoon in the 4 pounds you're eating. But yeah, thanks. There's like 2 grains of salt in it, I promise.
Yeah.
How about in the research you did?
Upsides to the conditions, you mean?
Or upside about the research or understanding it all?
It's nice knowing I'm not the only one. I spent a lot of time as like the unicorn. But I've been on like some of the forums and things like that. I don't really talk much, but I look at them and they'll go, hey, does anybody have this or does anybody do that? And they're like, and there will be 100 responses of, yes, that's totally me. So that's something to not be the only one. Most of my issues I have found a way to treat without medications. That is not always going to be a truth. The other thing that I'm dealing with is that at some point, my genetic heart condition, I'm going to have surgery and have the valve replaced. When that happens, the nature of that is that there are certain medications that I would have to take for the rest of my life or I'll die.
Right.
Period. And I don't do well with medications. So there's the fear, and especially because it's my heart, we mess that up, and
Right.
So I'm fortunate that for now I have found ways to exercise and diet and, controlled environment my way into being relatively healthy. So,
What would you wish that we, as your friends and family, would do to research or understand it all better?
read my blog. It's one of the points of the blog. It's not necessarily like every week is like, this is about HSP or whatever. It's about me, so those things are going to be different every time. But I think you'll be able to glean a little bit more about my conditions and how I work, and be able to find keywords to be able to look something else up on the internet, if nothing else. If I share an article or a book or a video with you and say this is me or my truth, please look at it. And if you don't get it or you want to know, ask questions. Be truthful in all your interactions with me. It's easier to take the hard stuff. I would rather know how you're comfortable socializing with me, and if it's too hard to do that, I get it. Please be honest and tell me that we can no longer interact with each other, and hopefully it's more of a I prefer to text to Facebook kind of thing. In other words, maybe getting together isn't the thing. Maybe we should, text
Video
a lot,
chat,
video
text a
chat,
lot,
yeah. Don't assume I can't go. Please invite me and keep inviting me. If you don't understand, ask for more detail. I don't know why I put this here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've been told I ask too much of others, but I don't ask more of anyone else than I ask of myself. And if my standards are too strict, I get it. We don't have to socialize together just because of family doesn't mean we have to see each other all the time. I'm okay with, if it's just going to be Blackthorn Friday and that's when I see you, then that's when I see you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm little doses, because I've learned I can be a lot apparently. So,
Okay. So can we all.
So, ask questions, research, be ready for brutal honesty, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, but yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to do a little surprise part that's not part of the question.
Right.
You talked a lot about controlling your environment and simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to use the webcam and do
Okay.
a quick, this is Vana's life and this is Vana's apartment.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Welcome to the tour. All right. So I apologize for the movements. You guys should be used to this if you watch anything on Sightseeing Gamer.
It shouldn't surprise me this way. My dishes aren't done.
Oh, whatever. If dishes are the least of this problem, I do live streams in my house twice a week. Come on. Everybody knows how I live. Let's go. All right, so I'm going to try to slowly turn the camera, unlike I do on Wednesdays when I show you. Okay. So this is Vana's desk.
Mm-hmm.
And right above the desk, that cord right there connects us to the computer. Say hi to yourself. It's Inception. All right. These are her movies. That's Lucas. And her gnomes and her dragons. Okay. Alright, so that's her bathroom and her bedroom doors, and that's all you get to see of that. And that is her entryway.
Mm-hmm.
Her very small kitchen, where she does all of her cooking. So the big silver thing here is a dehydrator.
Oh, yes.
And the cup is mine. Ignore the McDonald's. Vana doesn't do that. Just saying. That's where Vonna dries all of her stuff that goes into her teas and her food and her stuff. And all those dishes you see over there on that counter, Vonna cooks. Okay, the big gallon right there of water, that's what Vonna gets to drink because she can't drink tap water. And she makes all of her own food, and this is her elliptical. And then the couch she keeps talking about staying on. And one of the tapestries she wears when we go out, because we used it as a backdrop today. And her exercise bike. And Vonna. And that's her exercise bike.
See, I'm
And
standing right in
this
front of it.
is our emotional support animal. That is the Jezebel, who refuses to look at us, but has been eating this giant head of lettuce the whole time. So the whole time you've been hearing the scraping and the crunching, that's what she was eating. But the minute I went, we're going to give a tour, she showed us her ass, because that's all I ever get from Jez. That's how that works.
If you see her leg moving, she's moving further into.
She's like, I'm not looking at you, I hate you. These are
Yeah.
Vonna's vegetables. Okay, those are her houseplants.
Yeah.
And the rest of her movies. Her hematite tower.
Yeah.
All right, and that is the entirety of Vonna in the very simple life that Vonna leads. That's how the world works.
What you couldn't see on this tour was the places where I have, like, information, like...
Oh, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you could, like, take it away.
Well, let me see.
Because I didn't know if it would come far enough to be able to see.
No, I
Yeah.
cannot see. Maybe. Hold this.
Okay. We have to carry the computer around.
We might.
Okay, unplug it. There you go. Oh, unplug the other one. What? Oh, no, that's the hard drive. Okay, I was like, whatever that one is. Just, that's enough of that out of you. Boy, this is a fun one. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
There we go.
So, I recently learned about HSP, and this came out of one of the,
Move it up and down so you can see all the
Okay.
pages and do it slow.
Okay.
There you go.
All of this came out of the book I read, and it's basically part of the survival guide. As it said, things I can and should do and ways to be to help me live my life more functionally. I'm going to turn this around, and I don't know if the lighting is going to help you much.
Yeah, go ahead.
But over here is a whiteboard,
Yeah.
cork board and calendar to, again, more things that I do to, like, make my life work better. Like, I sponsor myself. You know, if I do really well, then I pay myself at the beginning of the month, and then that money goes into a fund so I can go see my daughter. So,
Yeah, that calendar here.
so this calendar is for me to, like, check off, yes, I studied this today. So, I did my job.
There's a calendar like that at my house too. It's literally, did you do your job?
Oh, like the chores and
Yeah,
whatnot?
like I had to sit down with my children and talk to them about how I work a 40-hour week and then I come home and do at least 20 hours a week in the housework. And asking them to work 40 hours a week on both school and house shouldn't be too much,
Right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so far the only one not arguing with me is Jay. And Tim. I mean, Tim is the one who came up with the idea that says 40 hours a week is not too much, but I have a 14-year-old who goes, but I do schoolwork. That's work.
Okay.
All right.
That's a whole other video.
That is a whole other video. So, I know we're posting this on Vonna's, but you should comment on Vonna's blog, and you should tell her how much you like this and ask her any questions, and like, subscribe, and follow, and comment, and tell your friends, and boost the signal. And why do we boost the signal?
Because you can't stop the signal now.
That's right.